Hey guys, it's Hink here. So today we have an important one to discuss. We have to talk about basically my 5 or 6 quick facts about penis enlargement that we need to set the record straight about, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, but there's actually a lot of science that we can point to get some very clear answers, okay? Now, before I go any further, guys, we're going to do another giveaway this video. So I'm going to be giving away my course. And just so you guys know, it doesn't matter when I see your comment, but all you have to do is leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and like the video, and I'll select, several people from the comments to select the course. Usually it's about 2 or 3, but on a whim, I just go back on my old videos, select a comment, and say, hey, you won. Like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe, and you can win this course. But let's get into it, guys. All right, guys, so the number one thing that I thought we were past is that it works, okay? Just on my last video, one of my pet peeves is when people are like, r/confidently incorrect. And you get these pompous douchebags that think that they know what they're talking about because of their limited experience. And it's just mind-blowing that people are still stupid. And I want to pull this comment and put it on the screen, but I'm not going to. Callie, if you could pitch and tone this to the most annoying tone possible, but he basically said,
everybody knows that enlargement isn't real. All the documented pictures are just guys that have improvements in EQ. Basically, this is a scam and you're a scam.
And it's just like, all right, guys. So, all right, don't listen to me. I'm a clown in a mask, okay? That's fine. I understand that. Here's 2 videos, one from Rena Malik and one from this renowned urologist that both say extenders work. So you have actual urologists saying that extenders increase penile length. Number 2, your dumbass should go on PubMed and just type in non-surgical penis enlargement and just read the results of the papers that come up. If you can read, that is. But you'll find papers, and hey, here's a paper right here, okay? It's called Applying Extender Devices in Patients with Penile Dysmorphophobia. So penile dysmorphophobia is basically small penis syndrome when you're concerned about having a small penis. So these weren't guys with micropenis or Peyronie's disease. They were actually using an extender, and it showed that without a doubt they had enlargement in both stretched penile length, erect length, and flaccid length, all measured on the trial and documented by real scientists, okay? So we're done with that. It works. Hopefully that'll be the last of you dumbasses in the comment that think you're so smart without actually doing your research, okay? On to the next. I'm sorry to start that video with negativity, guys, but that just arrogant know-it-all just pisses me off. So what's next, guys? You're bigger than you think. I really think if most guys understood the actual penile statistics, they wouldn't want to do PE. And I don't care how many of you know-it-alls in the comments say, I don't care what you say, bro. I've been in locker rooms and the average D size is about 8 inches. You're wrong. There's quantitative evidence proving that you're wrong. Here's an excerpt from one of the best studies that I've seen, and it basically concludes that the average size measured, now these are with erection induced by urologists without other medical conditions, is between 5.1 and 5.5 inches, period. So that is kind of like your average range, okay? Now, we also have things called standard deviations where you can see a normal distribution. We're just talking about length here, guys. But if you're talking about length, the average length is around 5.5 to 5.1 inches bone pressed. And guys, I love this freaking nomogram here. I'm going to have Callie put it up on the screen. It's another published piece of evidence. And what it basically shows is the length distribution as far as the percentile of guys. And what it shows that 90% of the measurements in this trial with thousands of people, thousands of men, showed that 90% of them were between 4.3 to 6.3 inches, okay? In other words, between about 11 centimeters and 16 centimeters. And that's what the evidence says. I'm tired of having these discussions, guys. I don't feel good. I'm a little tired. It's been a very stressful month. Can you please just chill with your well, I feel like we have actual science. So the next point is that PE can actually be dangerous, guys. Now, that being said, most guys do not get injured, or if they do get injured, it's a very temporary or minor injury, like some sort of abrasion, basically rug burn type of symptom, petechia, the little purple dots that come up, sometimes even a blister, depending on if you're using a vacuum cap, sometimes some temporary numbness, or maybe even some temporary loss of erection quality, or maybe even some temporary dull aching or pain. All of that can be normal, and I would say basically expect at least one of those things at some point in your peak career, okay? That's just a fact of life. Now, the more serious injuries do occur as well. Guys, I have several videos on hard flaccid. I'll have Callie put them up here if you want to watch them, but that's one of the more serious constellations of syndromes that we sometimes encounter when it comes to PE. And so here's a paper here, and it basically says hard flaccid, current state of knowledge. And there's another paper that they both have these quotes about the pathophysiologic, meaning like the actual mechanism by which injury occurs. And it says, I'll read one of the quotes for you. Although pathophysiologic mechanisms are not well understood, symptom onset is suggested to be related to penile trauma incidents, vigorous sexual intercourse or masturbation, including jelqing, so that is PE, among other activities, traumatizing the base of the erect penis and its associated neurovascular structures. And guys that know me, like, yes, my channel is largely about enlargement, but it's also about doing it safely and doing it in a evidence-based manner, okay? By actually dissecting papers like this to learn how to avoid things like trauma to the base of the D or trauma to that neurovascular bundle. And so guys, as I've talked about before, here's a paper that talks about actual nerve damage from actually stretching the nerve. Now, this is actually in rats where they basically dissected out the nerves and applied tension directly to the nerves. And so it is what we call interpolating or extrapolating, I guess, from that data. But it basically says that you can see damage start to occur in the nerves after 2 minutes of aggressive stretching of the nerve. You have to be very careful when you do this. And guys, this is why doctors hate PE, basically, okay? Doctors hate this one simple trick. They hate it. I'll tell you why. Because their only experience with PE is when guys come in complaining that they broke their D because they were doing PE. That's the only exposure to this. I did several urology rotations in medical school and in residency, and PE never came up. Pumping never came up. Jelqing never came up. Extenders never came up, even when we talked about Peyronie's disease. Now, this was like, geez, several, like, going on 3 decades ago now, but still 3 decades, maybe not quite there. I would have been in my teens, but you guys, you guys get the idea. And so we didn't have all this data, but you need to do it safely. And guys, like, look, I have my channel here, okay? My course is available below. If you want to learn from me how to go through PE and do it in a evidence-based manner and in the safest manner possible based on what medical evidence we have with real proven results, guys, I challenge you to find anybody that has documented better results before and after me. I challenge you. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying I challenge you. I put on over 1.5 inches in length and 1 inch in girth, and it's very well documented, okay? So if you're interested, you could click to the link below. And guys, here's another one. PE is not as fast as you think. So penile enlargement is not as fast as you think. Don't get me, all my rants, like yelling at the clouds about this TikTok culture and everybody wants it and they want it basically 5 minutes ago and they want all of their news in 30-second blip on TikTok. But guys, it takes a while. Now, I always say, expect in a year, if you're diligent, unenhanced, so I'm not saying with the C-ring in place or like fresh out of the pump, just regular D, no enhancements, you can put on 1/2 inch in length and 1/4 inch in girth in a year, okay? I'm not saying people don't do it faster than that. I just think that that's a reasonable expectation, okay? Now, I've already talked about that if you started with an average size and you put on 1/2 inch in length and 1/4 inch in girth, that's a 20% volume increase of your D, okay? I just talked about in the last video, even though Callie kind of fudged the numbers a little bit on the screen, but what I said was still correct. I still love you, Callie. And so guys, here's that paper that I was talking about, which provides a beautiful example of what is, fairly reasonable to expect, okay? So in 6 months, these guys in this extender study here, once again, it was just with normal penises, not Peyronie's disease, they gained 1.7 centimeters in their flaccid D, 1.3 centimeters in their stretch flaccid, and 1.2 erect girth. And all of those were significant, okay? So 2.54 centimeters is 1 inch. And so basically what it's saying, about 1/2 inch in 6 months in this study, okay? I still think that's a little bit ambitious. And I also think that with more time, you'll see diminishing returns. I hate how somehow this like PE culture has been like, oh yeah, 1 inch in a year in length and 1/2 inch in girth was reasonable. I think that's absolute bullshit, guys. Whatever, call me conservative, call me like a hater, whatever it may be. Just my thoughts, guys. There's plenty of other guys out there not spewing, but saying other things. And so guys, here is a beautiful summary of all the papers that this one author found looking at penile traction therapy or extenders. So it says duration and efficacy. You can see exactly what they did and for how long. So for example, on this first paper, Levine et al., 2 to 8 hours per day using an extender for 6 months gained between 0.5 to 2 centimeters is a wide range in those clientele base. And so you can see that like that's one of the extreme outliers. There's this Yaffe et al. Now this was paid people that were treated with interferon alpha 2B treatment. So they were getting an injection as well, and they had Peyronie's disease, and they actually showed a 4.4 centimeter increase using it for greater than 3 hours per day, but it was a small sample population. Regardless, guys, pause this paper on the screen and look at the data yourself and get some realistic expectations of what the actual data says. Now, I know what you're thinking, but wait a minute, Hink, you said about a ½ inch in a year, and some of these papers are saying about a ½ inch in 6 months. I know, guys. My thought is, number one, that's not what I've experienced in real life with most people. And number two is, if you expect to gain an inch in a year and you fall short of that, you're going to be disappointed. But if you expect to gain a ½ inch in a year and you gain 3/4 of an inch, you're going to be thrilled because you exceeded your expectation. You know, I really just want guys to have realistic expectations, and that's why I made a whole video about realistic expectations. So next, guys, it can change your life. So if you actually look at these papers that I've referenced about the extender studies, and even some of these papers looking at things like the Pneuma implant, which I would never, ever, 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 ever recommend to like my worst enemy, even to that guy who said like penile enlargement isn't real. I'm just kidding, guys. Even in those papers with a crappy product, it still says that most men's satisfaction rate is through the roof when they get bigger. And guys, and this is a little less science-based, but here's a paper here showing that general satisfaction was acceptable in guys that use these extenders, but they didn't have a good quantitative way to analyze whether or not guys were satisfied. So it's a major limitation that you see in some of these papers. But every guy that I know that has gotten even a little bigger has said that their life has improved exponentially. Okay, like, I'm not going to put everybody on blast, but like, I get a lot of DMs, guys, and I get some emails and it just says, Hink, I just wanted to thank you. Like, I literally, you know, sometimes it's as little as a 1/4 inch, and it's just like, I put on a 1/4 inch and it absolutely changed my life. I'm no longer like afraid to go shower in the locker room. Once again, for me, guys, I had crippling small penis anxiety. And I know what you're saying. Oh, well, you already started above average. I know, guys. That's why it's called a freaking mental disorder. Call me weak. Call me like a B-boy, whatever you want to do in the comments. It's fine. But that's the way it was. I was petrified to watch like rated R movies with my girl in case there was a nude like male scene. I was petrified to like go to public urinals, especially ones that didn't have like the little divider up. I was petrified to shower. You know, I would be the guy like in the corner, like basically, I didn't go so far as to shower in my underwear, but I wasn't that far off. And now all of that anxiety is gone. And it's because I got, dramatically bigger, guys. And so it does work. It can make a huge difference. Now, guys, this is a controversial one that you're not going to want to hear, but most of you guys are better off doing exercise. This is a pet peeve of mine. Guys, you're fatter than you think you are, and your body fat percentage, aka you're fatter, is higher than you think it is. If you were to really get down to sub 10% body fat, where basically you could see all of your abdominals and like the linea alba and the linea semilunaris coming down your abs, like, oh shoot, you can almost see my abs through the shirt, then you would see how much your fat pad will actually decrease. So the experts say that you can gain between a ½ inch to an inch in length for every 25 to 50 pounds of weight loss, guys. That can make such a huge difference. I lost 30 pounds last year. Kelly hit him with the before and after. I've used this to death, I know, guys. But in losing those 30 pounds, I gained a 1/4 inch in actual like non-bone pressed length. It was dramatically bigger, guys. Here's a study actually looking, now this was with phallus size, and it was looking with basically like 3D models. But what it showed was that the women, 80% of the women above all else, cared about the ratio of your shoulder to waist, okay? And it specifically as far as it relates to flaccid penis size. They wanted to see broad shoulders and a narrow waist, and they unanimously viewed those like flaccid penises higher than guys who were basically fatter, guys. And I'm not trying to fat shame. Love your body, love yourself, but also love yourself enough to freaking do something about it, to put down the food and get on the treadmill or go on a walk or go outside. And guys, in this same study, it showed that being overweight over 50% of the time was one of the biggest turnoffs for women when it came to flaccid size. I'm sure this is going to get downvotes, but this whole like body positivity movement right now, I'm sorry, it is what it is. Love your body, but love yourself enough to do something about it. But once again, guys, here's a study, and it showed that the golden ratio of what women actually find attractive is that your shoulder ratio is 1.6 to 1 when it comes to your waist, okay? So, work on your shoulders, do some lateral raises, okay? I've talked about this before. I'm going to put out a workout video soon, guys. But lose your weight around your waist as small as you can. Number one, you're going to lose your fat pad. And also, guys, it's about proportions. I always say the smaller the plate is, the bigger the steak is going to look on the plate. It's ridiculous. And then lastly, guys, and this is arguably the most important, girls, do not give a flying about size compared to men. This has been proven like throughout the data. Now, I'm not saying size doesn't matter, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it doesn't matter nearly as much as you think it does. So here's a paper right here. Callie's going to put it on the screen. Most women responded, almost 90% of them responded, do you find your partner's size satisfactory? 89% of them responded yes. 43 agreed when asked, do you think the size of the penis is important for your sexual satisfaction? Less than 30% responded that the bigger the penis, the better the sexual satisfaction. Over 50% responded that a bigger penis does not matter for sexual satisfaction. So here's a study looking at vaginal O's. And, you know, guys, the data on this is kind of crappy, but this was a survey and it basically looked at women and their practices. And it says that basically the women who care about size are the women who have like the deep vaginal O's. About 80% of women basically strictly have either clitoral O's or they have basically a blended O. So yes, who does size matter for? For those women that basically strictly get over the top from having vaginal O's, those are the women that actually care about size. Here's another study here because I know you still don't believe me because you're in your head just like I was, but it says, one study showed that less than 20% of women consider penile length as very important in sexual intercourse. Okay, now that doesn't touch on girth. Okay, that's just specifically talking about length. But my point is, there's very clear data that it really doesn't matter as much as you think. And more importantly, you don't need to have this massive hog. Okay, you know, one of my earliest videos that has like over like hundreds of thousands of this, basically like, what size do women prefer according to science? You know. And it's clearly one of my first videos. I'm using like written out scripts anyways. It basically shows that the size that women prefer is like just a hair above average when using a 3D model, guys. It was like just over 6 inches in length and like right at 5 inches in girth. It was the ideal size that women chose, okay? So it's not as big as you think. And guys, I don't know if you know who Amber Rose is, but she's not a corn star, but she is a, you know, she had a, it rhymes with mutt walk, but it starts with an S. I don't know what I can say on YouTube. So she is a very sexually liberal woman. I'll just say that. And that was her own terms, is the, you know, the SLU, you know, walk. So here is a clip of her saying that all you need is 5 inches.
Does the size matter?
Yes, if I am gonna constantly have sex with you, I don't need anything super gigantic.
What's a nice size?
5 would be...
Yes!
5 would be okay. Yeah.
See y'all later.
If you got the motion in the ocean, 5 is good.
So guys, I hope this puts some of the things to rest. If you want to support me or Callie, all the links are below. Anyways, guys, remember, there's nothing wrong with self-improvement. Please just understand the real facts, okay? Don't listen to what the liberal media tells you about what to think and feel, okay? Clayton Bigsby reference for any of those that are old enough to remember the Chappelle Show. But remember, you are enough just as you are. All right, guys, peace and love.
Dr. Hank got the plug on the health, yeah. Got you thinking about your wealth, yeah. In his office, no stealth, yeah. Pinnacle of that below the belt, yeah. Checks and balance, he's managing. Working miracles, no damage. Got you covered, no panicking. Steady calm. In the clinic, no vanishing.